I 100% believe that our brain is a supercomputer and not so much the computer or the phone. And the reason for that is because as much as your phones and computers know where you've been, right? They can kind of see that, hey, you checked out this site before, or you went on this app before. Our brains are able to actually make decisions, right? Which your computer doesn't, your phone doesn't. And it can also incorporate our heart into it, right? And that's how we know really like when we should say that's a bad idea because it would hurt someone, or that's a bad idea because it will hurt me, right? So there are things that we have to bring our heart into, and our even our gut, like, you know, so it's all connected, right? Your mindset to your heart to your gut.
Hello, parents and kids. Welcome to Brain Power, another episode of it with Dr. Echo. So today I have the amazing Shire Parks, who's going to introduce herself.
Hello, parents and kids. My name is Shire Parks. I'm a sales and mindset coach, and I'm super excited to be here because we're going to be talking about real life ways that we use our mindset and brain to make decisions and be better every day.
I know, isn't that so important? So so let's dive into it, Cheryl. So tell me more about how mindset and what is mindset and how that works with the brain and how
So I think I can only share by telling a short story. So growing up, I was the shyest girl in the room. And I mean,
no, I don't think so.
I'm going to tell you a story. You tell me if you were more shy than me. So growing up, I literally took, and this is in my teen years, I literally took the city bus home from school, and I would not even ring the bell on the bus to get off the bus because I didn't want people to look at me. I would just ride along to the next person's stop and get off with them. So there were lots of stories like this where I just realized in my early to mid 20s that there is no way I can accomplish all the goals that I had set up for myself if I didn't find my voice and become very comfortable standing up for myself, speaking out, and just participating and living my life out loud is what I call it, right? So fast forward a lot of years, I became a sales coach. And the reason that I was able to do that is because I took control of my own mindset and decided to control that. And I learned what it felt like when I was uncomfortable and how to talk my way through it. I had mantras that I used: act like the person you want to be, or be so good they can't ignore you, and things like that, right? So I would just talk myself through any issues I had where I was uncomfortable, because our mind and our bodies are designed to protect us. And so when you know you're making good decisions, or you know you really want something, but it's uncomfortable, that's the time to tell your mind, like, I got this. Stand down a little bit.
You're absolutely right. I love what you said, that you chose to live your life out loud, right? And not based on what the people around you thought or what the people around you said. And so for kids that are listening, this just means, it doesn't mean don't listen to your parents, and it doesn't mean don't do the right things, but it also means that everybody has a dream and everybody has things that they would like to accomplish, or things that they would like to do inside of them. And maybe maybe the people around you don't believe that you can. That doesn't mean you shouldn't believe that you can. And that doesn't mean you should ever stop dreaming, because that's what Miss Cheryl means by living her life out loud, is that she kept dreaming, right, of what it is you wanted to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's one of those things where I think sometimes using our imagination is downplayed. And so sometimes just laying on your bed in silence with no TV, no music, no games, and just lay and just even look at the ceiling and just kind of dream and figure out, like, what do I really want to do? And then be able to communicate with other people, because in my life, I have a saying, like, the universe will lean with you. If you're trying to make better decisions for yourself and explore things that are great in your life, the universe will lean with you, and you'll have people in your life that will help and be able to provide a little more information around how to get there. So
you are absolutely right. I love that the universe will lean with you. So it's important. I like what you said, especially nowadays where there's so much stuff going around.
yes.
Like there's so much stimulation, so much TV, the smartphones, the watches. There's just movement everywhere, and sometimes it does really help. And that's why sleep is so important, right? Because our brains need to shut us down so that we can actually think. And
Yes.
I'd suggest that you take Miss Cheryl's advice, because I think that's really important, that we spend some time in quiet and just let our minds just think of the possibilities, right?
Yes.
Of life, right?
You'd be
So,
super surprised when you turn everything off and it's quiet,
right.
how the quiet sometimes sounds different,
Mm-hmm.
because we're so used to just noises. Sometimes it's natural, sometimes it's, like I said, TV and phones and notifications and all these things. But when
Right.
it's quiet, it's very, very different.
And that's when ideas, for every big invention you've seen in the world, right? It takes ideas, right? And that's mostly when ideas come into your mind.
Right.
Ideas of what you can do better, of things you can do, or
Mhm.
all sorts of amazing things, right?
Yes, definitely. I'm a big proponent also that I 100% believe that our brain is a supercomputer and not so much the computer or the phone. And the reason for that is because as much as your phones and computers know where you've been, right? They can kind of see that, hey, you checked out this site before, or you
Right.
went on this app before. Our
Mhm.
brains are able to actually make decisions, right? Which your computer doesn't, your phone
Right.
doesn't. And it can also incorporate our heart into it, right?
Right.
And that's how we know really like when we should say that's a bad idea because it would hurt someone, or that's a bad idea because it will hurt me, right?
Right.
So there are things that we have to bring our heart into, and our even our gut, like, so it's all connected, right? Your mindset to your heart to your gut, and your body's here to protect you.
Right.
But as you develop and as you start to step out a little, you'll start to make decisions based on just knowing that those will be aligned and it will feel good, versus when it's not aligned, it doesn't feel so good.
Right. So can you tell us a little more about how you teach the
Mhm.
parents that you coach about selling? Like, how
Yes.
does the brain help you with making better decisions about how to spend your money?
Yeah, so this is a big deal, right? Because it's a huge
Right.
world out here now. Not only do we have like the brick and mortar standing stores, like the Targets and the Walmarts of the world, but we
Right.
also have that beautiful thing in our hand that we can buy things in a moment's notice. And so I really focus on the way we make decisions to buy.
Right.
And usually the buying decision starts in the heart, and then logically, we figure out whether or not we can afford it, we can use it, it will be a good part of our, our life or the packages that we use. So
Right.
it typically, your buying decision will be made here. And then you will logically try to figure out, how can I afford this? Do I
Right.
need to go out and get an extra job? Do I need to run, do something on the side? Do I need to
Right.
get a better job? Do I need to increase my pay? And things like that. And so that's what I mean when I say the brain is really the supercomputer, and it will enable you to do things and make decisions that there's nothing else in the world that will help you do that. Everything else is a supplement to this.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why Brain TV is here, right? Because we want to
Yes.
teach you to not just know more about how the brain works, but also how to take better care of the physical health of your brain. Because without
Mhm.
that, your supercomputer will not work.
Yes.
And if your supercomputer does not work, guess what? Nothing else will work.
Right.
So that's why it's so super important. And I want to go back to something you said earlier. You talked about mindfulness. So can you tell us more about that?
Mhm. Sure. Um, So just in terms of mindfulness, right? So in sales, I've been in sales for a long time, but it's helpful to understand and or see things from the other side of the table, from the other person's perspective. Because a lot of times conversations break down, opportunities go away
Right.
because the other person can't see your side or vice versa. So it's
Right.
really important to be mindful of things like, it really seems like this person's not having a good day, right? And
Right.
not push the envelope, or what my husband calls poke the bear, right? And you know, or maybe someone seems really rushed and you're trying to have like a really important conversation, and you notice that they, you know, they're checking their watch and they're looking and they're waiting for a phone, or maybe they're looking at text messages. Maybe just to say, is there a chance we can have like a conversation later when you've got some time? And
Right.
that way you're not pushing that envelope to have someone try to pay attention when potentially their brain isn't in that scenario. So
Yeah.
little things like being mindful about what's going on in other people's lives without, of course, completely neglecting the importance of you, right?
Of
So
course.
we're all important. And, you know, there are things that we need to talk about, but being able to communicate that out so that people know when it's important and timely
Right.
versus can we do it at a different time?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what, and then that communicates to the person that you actually care,
Yes.
and you actually are seen, because everybody at the bottom line, everybody wants to be seen, heard, and feel like they're valuable. So if the person, I know kids, you may say, you know, I don't have a business now, but really you're on your way. That's why you're in school, right? You're on your,
Yes.
and you can start a business as a kid.
Yes.
So you're on your way, and this, you're on your way to that. And as parents too, we're already in the workforce, and these are important tips for us to pay attention to, because it does make a difference in how the other person responds to you if they feel like you are aware of them as
Yes.
well. So
You know, I'm going to add one little tip that sticks with
yeah,
me, because when my son, who's now 28, was in second grade, he
right,
had a fantastic teacher who said, when you go to ask your parent to sign anything,
right,
bring the pen with you. The reason for that is sometimes you're asking a parent to sign something,
mm-hmm.
and the thing they don't have is the pen. Now, I know a lot of this
Right,
happens online these days, but there's still things that need to be signed originally, right?
right,
So when he would bring the pen, inevitably I could look at it, make a decision, and sign. Everything's done. So
right.
that was his first introduction to mindfulness and being slightly more efficient about the way he did things. And I have to say, blessings to that teacher.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, because that's such a simple thing, but that's so
Yes,
important. Because I mean, you can put that in every area of your life, right?
yes,
Whatever it is you're going to do, just take the extra second to think of what would make it easier for the other person, right? And they really will
right.
appreciate it.
Yes,
Which goes to Cheryl, your point about asking them if they seem distracted. Oh, is there a better time? Because yes, it's not a physical pen, but it also shows that you're aware and you're paying attention to
yes,
what's going on around you. And
yes.
really people do appreciate it.
Mhm.
There's lots of things that don't go well in the world, but there's lots of right. And
Yes,
people still do appreciate people who take the time to look out
yeah.
for them as well. So
Yeah,
yeah,
the details are really important. Not
right.
to get caught up in details, but you any little thing that makes your life and their life easier. I can tell
Yeah.
you, my son getting his field trip slip signed was probably 98% of the time. Anything that makes life a little bit easier all the way around helps you maybe get what you desire, and it helps the person make decisions. And
Right.
someone will do the same for you. So it's
Right.
important just to know that you're important, but
Mhm.
at the same time, anything you can do to make it a little bit easier will help the overall.
Right. Yes, you're absolutely right. And going back to, I know you were saying, wait, um, let's see who's shyer. I was extremely shy. Yes, I did one of those boss things too, where I refused to come off the bus. So, but I mean, so what would you say to kids who feel like they're shy? What would you tell them?
Yeah, I would tell them that 100%. I meet women, people, men everywhere that say, I was so shy growing up.
Right.
And at the end of the day, just getting your mindset to a point where you say, I'm going to start taking some steps forward. So I would realize how it felt. Some people feel it here and they get kind of like, oh, I don't know. Some people feel it in their stomachs and they get that like kind of crampy feeling, like you don't feel well.
Right.
And I would start to be very aware of what it felt like. The next thing I did was I created a little phrase I would just say to myself quickly.
Right.
Act like the person you want to be. Act like the person you want to be.
I
Act like
love
the
it.
person you want to be.
Yeah.
And then I was able to start to step into things. And then as I stepped into things, I realized I can do it. I could say it. I could hold my hand up.
Right.
I could actually speak in a room, and you start to build confidence. So you actually have to do the steps to build the confidence. It doesn't happen the other way. You don't really get it from reading the book.
No.
Reading books is great, but you actually have to step into it.
You have to practice, right? You have to take
Yes.
action. So I love that phrase. So kids and parents as well. That's so important. Acting like the person we want to be. So if we want to be this confident person who can walk into a room and have a conversation with anyone, if you tell yourself that enough, but then also when the opportunity comes, you try it.
Yes.
Maybe you wouldn't do so great the first time. So you try again. The only way me and Shire are no longer like falling on our faces in front of people is because we decided to try.
Yes.
So yeah, I can say that's absolutely true because you have to try.
And I'll tell you, you can practice with people that you just come across in the store. Hi, how are you today? The mail person. Hi, how's your day going? You can practice with people before you get to the big time that you need to stand up and say something. Right. Practice just speaking a little bit further and say, oh, you're having a great day. Me too, right? Instead of just leaving it at, oh, you're having a great day. See you later. Yeah, me too, because I just got a great grade or something like that. And you'll notice that it's easier and easier the more you put it in play.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Because our supercomputer is a muscle. We need to work it to teach it what it needs to do. So the more you do it, then you're sending messages to your brain like, hey, this is how I like to act. This is how it should be. And so your brain keeps reminding you, okay, that's what you need to do next. Okay, that's what you need to do next. And then before you know, it becomes a habit. And that's how habits are formed, like little things over time. So, and we're all in the business of trying to learn strong, good habits, right?
Definitely. Definitely. I heard another phrase just a couple days ago. You have to see it to be it. So your mind has to see what it is you're trying to do, trying to be, trying to have before you get there. So you have to get throw it out there, throw the fishing rod out there and say, I definitely want to have an A. And you have to see that before you actually can be it. See yourself as that A student, etc.
And it's possible. Remember, all our brains are supercomputers, and there's so much research that shows we use way less than our brains than we have capacity for. So kids, if you can, I often tell my kids, if you can play if you can remember all the plays in the basketball, you can definitely get an A because it's the same brain. But kids don't always think about that. It's like, oh yeah, really good basketball player. But then you can also be a really good student because it's the same brain. You just have to tell yourself that you can do it and work at it and it happens. So
definitely.
Yeah, that's so wonderful. So what are some phrases? You mentioned that you had some phrases that you came up with that helped you transition from being this really shy girl to being a master sales lady and teaching other people how to sell and move forward in their goals in life. So can you share some of those?
Yeah, so one of the very first ones that I had that I'm now using again a lot of years later is be your excellent best. So what be your excellent best, speaking to myself, means is that I can't control everything outside me. I can only control coming as the best I can be on that day. So what I knew when I was 15 isn't the same as 25 or 35. So just show up as your excellent best as you are. So that's one.
Today,
And
right?
yes, on the day that you need to show up, right? The day your test, etc.
Right.
Not the day before, not the day after. The next phrase I probably used was act like the person you want to be. And that was me stepping into the role that I saw for myself in 3 years or 5 years. So I just knew what that I wanted that to look like. And I said, okay, so if you know you're going that way, you should pack accordingly. And
Right.
so I would just do the things that that person would do. Like what would that person do right
Right.
now? Well, that person would make a better decision.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other ones that I use, and I put a caveat here, at some point I used be so good they can't ignore you.
Right.
Now I put a caveat there because that means you're validating people outside you to acknowledge and validate who you are. So use that one sparingly. It's really about you being good and whether you're in athletics or music or the arts,
Right.
just being so good that your uniqueness shows up. That's really the essence of what
Right.
I want to say.
I
And
love
not
that
so,
word.
yeah, not
Me.
so much with competing against, everyone else around you, because that's another thing. We are all super unique. I'm putting my thumbprint up here. We're as unique as our thumbprint. Our brains are
Right.
unique. What our experiences are super unique. And
Right.
there's total purpose in why you're here, to be your unique self.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because there's only one you, right?
One. That's it.
Even if they have your same name, they're not you. There
They're
is
not
never
you.
going to be another you. There has never been another you. Like,
Correct.
take a
Yep.
second to think about how amazing that is. Like, wow.
It is. It
So,
really is.
yeah, so there's no mistakes made, and all of us here have a purpose. Even if we can't see it right now, we definitely just keep putting one step in front of the other. And the key is making sure you're doing the right thing. I mean, for what it is that you have in front of you to do, and
Yes.
and then you'll be guided to what it is that thing is. I mean, and all of these things add up to, I mean, there's not one, oh, this is the thing.
Right.
There's a series of things we're all here to do that only we can do. So,
Yeah.
I mean, tomorrow Cheryl may not be the mindset coach. She may be doing something else, but
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that wasn't her purpose either. I mean, this is a journey, right? Life is a journey. So we're all going along this journey.
100%.
Right?
And be
With
sure
our unique brains. Because,
yes.
So.
And be sure to communicate out to people, whether it's a friend that you can have confidence in, or a parent or a relative, an aunt, an uncle. It's sometimes not easy to tell your ideas,
Right.
but communicate out and let people know so that they can be excited with you. And or if they're not, then just keep going, like keep pushing along, one step in front of the other. Find people that are in your same space and can kind of see the big picture of what the good is you're trying to do in the world. You know what I mean?
Yes. And does it help to write things down?
I'm a huge writer. I'm huge on writing. I still prefer to write than in the computer on my phone. I do take notes on my phone, but I'm big on, if I could tell you the number of notebooks I have, it's just crazy. But they say that as you write, you retain like 75 or 80% more when you're writing it down than if you're just listening. So that's always helped me in testing and everything. So I just never gave it up.
No, and it speaking about writing, when you write something down, then you can come back and look at it, even if it's a year later. Oh, this is what and then you might even see that the stuff happened, right? Does that happen to you?
I've seen
write down your dreams and then you look back and you're like, oh, wait a second, actually came true. But not just that, but it's also a good thing for you to like document like your journey, because everything we go through in life, we can certainly use it to help others. So like whoever is watching us today and hearing about how we used to be such shy people, right? And look at us like chatting away and laughing and like, but it's been a journey. So if we can all share parts of our journey with others to help them where they are, because that's what life is about, right? It's about sharing where we are so that we can help someone else move further along than we have.
Absolutely.
So,
Yes.
yeah, I love it. So, do you have any tips for kids and parents?
Yeah, so I'll start with kids. So, you know what? Just be easy on yourself. I know there's a lot of pressure out there right now. I know
Right,
we're coming out of a very different time, but just try to be easy on yourself and celebrate the small wins. If you're super shy and you had a 1 minute conversation with your neighbor or somebody on your street, that's a win. Take it
yeah,
as a win, be excited about it. If as you're getting good grades, your grades are improving, you got selected to be on a team or play in the band,
right,
that's a win. So
yeah,
make sure you
sure,
celebrate your wins and just like I said, be easy on yourself. And when you don't get selected or you don't do what you set out to do, just know that it's part of your journey. Sometimes you learn by not doing or not
right,
getting or not being selected, and
right,
then you'll be better the next time. Okay, so that's my one tip for the kids. And then for the parents, I really think it's super important, especially today, to have supervised exposure for kids so that they get to try and do and be lots of different things and
right,
really connect in to see what sets their eyes on fire, right?
right,
So, of course, having goals, we all have goals for our kids. But at the end of the day, just also letting them develop soft skills that will help them get through things that are unexpected, like what we
right.
just went through. And I just said to I just said to myself a couple days ago, like, learn how to become an overcomer, right? So, yeah, learning how to take on challenges, twist them around in your brain, and come out in the direction that you want to come out in. So that's my tip. One for the parents, one for the kids.
Yay! I
Yeah,
love it. That's wonderful.
yeah.
So, where can we learn more about you, Miss Cheryl?
Yeah. So if you go to bit.ly, and I'll spell this out, bit.ly/ power up mindset and sales, bit.ly/POWERMINDANDSALES. If you go to bit.ly, power up mindset and sales, you'll be able to see my Instagram, my Facebook, my LinkedIn. You'll be able to schedule some time to speak with me directly if you're interested in sales coaching or mindset coaching. For mindset coaching goes with like career, like if you're trying to move into a different area of your career or
Right.
make better decisions in your life, and or maybe you're the shyest girl in the room growing up and you need to move past that. So all
Right.
of those things, I've got lots of different resources you can use, and then obviously we can just figure out what it is you need. So thank you very much. I really appreciate being here.
Yes. Yes, you should definitely check Miss Cheryl out because I can speak from experience. She's an amazing coach and she's
Thank
helped me
you.
so much. So,
Thank
always a pleasure to talk with you, Cheryl. Thank you so much for all the wisdom you've shared with our kids and parents. Uh,
Absolutely. You're welcome.
yes.
Everyone be well. And it was great, great to be here.
Yes. Thank you so much again.